Hello, everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday morning, and welcome to my live. I think springtime is starting because it is really nice outside, nice and warm. Well, what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about extraordinary forms of immigration relief. And the reason it's extraordinary is because normal forms are ineffective and don't work, and you have to go through this measure if you want any chance of coming in. So we're going to talk about pardons, what's required, what's needed, how it helps, how it doesn't help, things like that. And then after that, what I'll do is I will go back, I will answer your questions, I'll scroll back through everything, see whatever you have to ask, as long as it's related to U.S. immigration law. Sometimes I get questions on Canadian immigration law, Australian immigration law, European immigration law, and that's not my forte. It's U.S. immigration law, okay? Anything to come here or anything to stay here, I can help you, okay? So that's how it works. So let's get started. So extraordinary forms of relief. Pardon. What does that mean? Okay, well, first, I don't even jump to that if there is anything in immigration law available to help the person. So basically, a waiver, that's where you have a crime. And if you qualify, you apply for a waiver, which essentially says, sorry, I know I did that, but for all these reasons, let me in and forget about it. So waivers won't apply, for example, to aggravated felonies. Okay, and there are some exceptions, but we don't need to get into that today. So for all intents and purposes, if you happen to have an aggravated felony and you've tried criminal relief, okay, you're not going to jump to the pardon until you've tried criminal relief. So let me give you an example. Let's say you went in and you stole some dresses from Nordstrom's and you got a sentence of 1 year and 4 days. Okay, that makes you an aggravated felon. Now, let's say you took that plea, you got little time in jail and you thought everything would be hunky-dory only to find out you're an aggravated felon deported for life. So the first place I would tell you to go would be to do criminal relief. We would go back to criminal court, try to vacate the plea and or reduce the judgment such that it's not, for example, 1 year and 4 days, but perhaps 364 days. Okay? The prosecutor and judge could care less. It doesn't mean any difference to them, but it makes the world of difference to you. And that makes it so you're not an aggravated felon anymore. And that makes it so then you do qualify for a waiver. You can do the immigration petitions. You can do all kinds of other stuff. And even if you have the green card, if you can get this properly reduced, under immigration law, then you could very well then qualify for cancellation of removal for lawful permanent residence, which you couldn't do if you were an aggravated felon. So, when I say extraordinary forms of relief in immigration law, that's like the last resort. Okay, it's sort of like the Hail Mary. And so, let's say you're an aggravated felon. You've tried criminal relief and it's failed. You might have even appealed criminal relief and it failed. And now you're wondering, what can you do? Okay, so depending on the crime, you can actually get a full and unconditional pardon. And when I say can, I mean you need to apply for it and it needs to be approved. Okay, if it's not approved, then of course it doesn't mean anything. And when I say it's a Hail Mary, I'm telling you, they're not easy to get at all. But some people, when they're up against the wall, they find out they're deported for the rest of their life, their kids, their spouse, their family's here. They'll do what it takes and they'll try anything to come back. And, sometimes it'll work, okay? So first you have to decide, is it a federal crime or is it a state crime? If it's a federal crime, then it has to be pardoned through the executive branch of the U.S. government, which is the president, and it's under the Department of Justice, okay? The pardoning committee. If it's a state crime, of course, every state has their own individual policies, but generally there's a pardoning committee of the state, and it goes there. And the next question people say is, well, there's two questions. They go, when will it be approved? Which is the wrong question, because you can't by any chance, assume it will be approved. You just have to put the best possible foot forward and hope it will be, okay? And then the next question is, how long does it take? And it depends. I've had some pardons take years, okay? It takes a very long time. And you don't really have leverage to push them, okay? You can't sue them to make it faster. You can't, keep calling and calling, because then they're going to, block it. So you can be nice and do inquiries on a reasonable basis, not like, some people who will call every week and say, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Okay. So if the pardon has been properly submitted, and if it gets approved under immigration law, meaning it's a full and unconditional pardon, then for immigration purposes, for the most part, you won't be inadmissible based on that crime anymore. You won't be considered an aggravated felon. You will be able to adjust or do whatever you need to do without filing a waiver, because a waiver, you wouldn't be eligible for it anyways. So that, in essence, is how the pardon works. And the reason they have it is kind of for what I'm telling you. It's for last-ditch resort, extraordinary relief. Now, there's other extraordinary relief which is available in immigration law, which I'll talk on future videos. But for this particular one, it's on pardons, okay? So if you've tried everything, if you're up against the wall, you think you're lost forever, this might be for you, okay? So that's how it works. All righty. So let's go back here. Let's see what questions we have. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Okay. Okay, does anybody want to hear a joke? What's it called when one nut is really chasing fast another nut? Cashew. Okay. Let's see. Let's see here. 1 second. Let me just scroll down. Okay. Okay, here's one from Ashley. Can I travel inside the U.S. with a pending asylum through airports closed to the border, or close to the border? The answer is yes. Okay. But given that I said that, the administration today will push and do things that, either are unlawful or simply, have not been done before, you have the right as a pending asylee to travel anywhere you want in the U.S. as long as you go to your hearings. So you should have proof with you that you have applied for asylum. So if you do travel, for example, to Chula Vista or whatever, right by the border, that you have proof and you can show when, it depends, if you have a court date, when that is. If you don't, that it is pending. And then sometimes my firm can be retained. We prepare a letter of explanation that you can just give to the officer. So if they try to pull a fast one on you and say, well, there's no legal right for you to stay, you just pull out the letter and it cites the law and everything necessary. And they say, oh, my mistake. Okay, so that's how that goes. Okay, from Tuddy. My husband had a felony, reopened it, now it's dismissed by the judge. Can he get a pardon? Well, something doesn't make sense about that question, because if it's been dismissed, if it was reopened and dismissed, if it was done properly under immigration law, and there's some things that are dismissed. Unfortunately, people go to criminal lawyers only all they do is practice criminal law. And what happens is, they go and they get it dismissed, and then the person goes back in immigration, tries to get what they need, and they say, nope, sorry, you have a conviction. And they say, well, I got it dismissed, but they didn't do it right. Okay? There's no need to get a pardon if it's been dismissed. That doesn't make sense. The only reason you would get a pardon is if it wasn't dismissed, if he was an aggravated felon. Now, keep in mind, there's a difference between felony and criminal law and aggravated felony and immigration law. Okay? There's some misdemeanors in criminal law that are aggravated felonies in immigration law, and vice versa. Okay? So, I need to see how exactly it was dismissed and why it was dismissed. I can give you just a very brief explanation. Let's say that he went to court and it was for, let's say he was hitting you, okay? And let's say he got a felony for domestic violence. And he was supposed to then go to classes for 3 years and attend the classes, not have any other convictions, be a good boy and all that. And then he went back to court, and the court said, yes, I see you have done all your rehabilitation. I see you don't have any convictions. And I see you have a declaration from your wife that you're a good guy now, type thing. And the judge goes, okay, fine, I'll dismiss it. That is still a conviction for immigration purposes, because the only reason it was dismissed is because you completed your rehabilitation. It's not because it was a wrongful conviction. Okay, so if that's the case, then your husband still has a conviction. So I need to see it. Okay, let's see. Okay, 1 second. Okay, you filed for asylum, got your receipt. Now what should you do? Well, did you get an attorney to help prepare your asylum case? I mean, you have to think about it. I mean, like, if I were to go, me, an attorney, an immigration attorney, if I were to go to another country, let's say, and apply for asylum there, I'm not saying I would, but if I were, I wouldn't presume that I could just do it myself and I'd win. Okay, I wouldn't presume that, because I know, how difficult the law is. I know that you have to prove tons and tons of stuff and so forth. So if you're asking me what you should do, I first want to know if you used an attorney to help you file the asylum, an immigration attorney, not your brother's friend. And if you didn't, you need to get it supplemented, because filing for asylum and winning asylum are two completely different things. A lot of people don't get that. They think they just, they look on the internet and they say, write that you've been persecuted and that you're fearful of going back, and you can complete the asylum application, or they'll go to some notario that they'll pay $100 that will fill it out, and then they'll say sign here, sign here, sign here. Okay, that's not going to get you the green card. That's not going to get you a win. That could get you in trouble. So that's what I need to see. If you did have an attorney, I suspect that's not the case, because otherwise you wouldn't be asking me. You would, of course, prepare. If this is an affirmative asylum, which it likely is, you would prepare for the interview, get more supplemental documents, and so forth. Okay? All right. If the immigration know about your dismissed misdemeanor and approve your green card, can you travel? The answer is yes. Okay. I mean, how is it that they know about it? Okay. Did you apply for a waiver, and did they grant the waiver? Are you saying they know about it because you said something at some interview and the officer said okay, and you think that would suffice? But assuming that you, for example, applied for a waiver, they waived it, issued the green card, then yes, you're not inadmissible based on that crime. Okay, let's see. Well, I have people asking the same question more than one time, so I have to go back past that. 1 second. Well, we have a lot of questions here at the end. Let me see here. Let's see. How do we know if it was done correctly? You hire an immigration attorney. Okay? That's how you know. That's like if you break your arm and you have your friend from grade school fix it and you go, "How do I know if it was fixed properly?" Go to an orthopedic surgeon. Okay? Um what about if someone gets a fake marriage? Why did it scroll all the way up? I'm reading your question and it scrolled all the way up in the middle of your question. Just a minute, and I got to scroll back to it. One second. Sorry. You guys don't have to ask me the same question more than once because I'll get to it. I can't find your question. Just a minute. I know it's here. It did not just disappear. Um, just a minute. Just a minute. I'm gonna get back to it. You just wait. Who's getting a pardon? Well, the people who apply for it who get it approved. Okay, that's who's getting it. Um, oh, here we go. What about if someone gets a fake marriage and applied for VAWA to get the green card? That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Um, just think policy wise, if that were to happen. What that's saying is that you entered into a fake marriage and then your spouse beat you. And now you want to apply for VAWA, but you entered into the fake marriage. Can you do it? Well, by doing that, what you're stating is that you can purposely enter into a marriage that is fake and violate the immigration laws, lie to immigration, do all of that, and you think you can still get the green card. Now, it's unfortunate that, if you've been abused by your spouse, that you can't apply for VAWA now. You could, but one of the biggest and first requirement, not it is the biggest and first requirements of a VAWA application is the marriage was bona fide in the first place to stop this very thing. Now, that doesn't mean you might not qualify for something else. If you've gotten beaten, whatever, you can certainly try to apply for a U visa and then a waiver for the fake marriage. Okay, that's doable, but you're not going to get VAWA. Can you be deported if you're a TPS holder? I mean, you can. Okay, if you're a TPS holder and you commit a crime, you become deportable. You can be deported. If TPS ends, you can be deported. Okay. Let's see. How about DUI without aggravating factors? Well, isn't that just a DUI then? It depends what state. There's some states where the DUIs don't make you inadmissible. There's the ones that do. I need to read the statutory language of the state of where you are. Okay, I got granted asylum. Can I be authorized for parole to go back to the USA without a passport? No. Why would you do that? If you've got granted asylum, you can apply for the green card in a year. Why mess around with that? Stay here. Get your adjustment application going. Once that's going, you can apply for advanced parole once you apply for adjustment. That's not an issue. But don't leave before you do that. Okay? All right. Let's see. Well, we have people that are asking the same question over and over here. Just a minute. It's a good thing I have a good memory. Good morning, Carlos. I have to them at the interview. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I think this was, you filed for asylum and you're going to have an attorney with you at the interview. Think about it. You should have had an attorney help you prepare the application in the beginning. That's like that's like having somebody who doesn't know how to cook make you a lasagna that tastes like blankety blank, and then bringing a chef in after it was made to tell you and try to make it taste good. It's not going to happen. Okay, you got to do it good from the beginning. So if you haven't had the interview, now's the time to supplement it to make it better. Okay, not the attorney's not a magician. You can't bring an attorney to an interview with a subpar asylum application and think it's going to magically be an excellent application. It doesn't work like that. And if the attorney looks at it and sees you left out 20 different things and you bring that all up at the interview, they're going to think you were lying. They're going to think you're lying. The first thing they're going to say is, why didn't you put that in the application if it was true? They're going to think you made it up. Okay? Let's see. How about, okay, this is, I think you asked this before, but you expanded it. How about a DUI without aggravating factors with a green card? Can they travel outside the country? My answer is the same. I need to know if the statutory language of the DUI of where it is that you live, because some make you inadmissible and some don't. Okay, so I need to know. Okay, in Alacran, you ask if I speak Spanish. Sí. Yo hablo español. Es no perfecto, pero es suficiente. Yo tomé como 3 años español en la escuela y habla con mis empleados en español. How's that, guys? Okay. How can I apply for citizenship? I lost the green card, already filed the I-90. Well, Samantha, it's not required you have the physical green card in your hand to apply for citizenship. That's not a requirement. So you don't have to have it. I guarantee you they're going to have your file when you're at the interview. Because the first thing they do is, this is part of, like when I'm giving a consultation, the first thing they do is they want to make sure you got the green card and you got it legitimately. That you didn't do any hanky-panky. Okay, that you didn't violate anything. So they will have all that. They'll have your green card. They'll have how you got it. They'll have all that. You don't need to have the physical green card to do it. Okay? I mean, let me give you an example. Let's say that you got married, you got the green card, but you never consummated the marriage, never lived with the person. You lied up and down about it, but you still got the green card. And when you apply for citizenship, they somehow find out that you did that and you didn't live with the person. They'll put you in removal proceedings and try to revoke your green card. Okay, so don't worry about that. You don't need, if you qualify, you don't need to have the physical green card in your hand. As a Canadian in the U.S., 10 years, overstayed as a tourist, now back in Canada, 3 years, can you try to re-enter? It doesn't matter if you're from Canada or Vietnam or China. Okay, I mean, obviously it's easier to enter the United States from Canada with a lot of different things. But the 10-year bar is the 10-year bar. If you overstayed more than a year, you're subject to the 10-year bar. Okay? If you overstayed less than a year, but more than 6 months, you're subject to the 3-year bar. So you can try to re-enter and not be subject to the bar, but then there's the discretion that they might not believe that you're going to leave. Okay? So, and then to further answer your question, you don't have to wait the 10 years. You can apply for a waiver of the 10-year bar. And if it's going to be for a non-immigrant, you can do that tomorrow. You can apply for a non-immigrant visa along with the waiver. Okay? Alrighty. Let me see. Okay. Your case is on appeal. Our case appeal is pending, and when we go to immigration check-in, can they detain and deport us? Well, that depends. When you say our, who do you mean? Do you mean you and your kid, you and your spouse? When it's at appeal, do you mean the Board of Immigration Appeals? Do you mean there's been a petition for review to the circuit courts? Are you talking about a labor certification and you appealed it to BALCA. Okay, there's a lot of places that can go for appeal. I'm assuming that you have appealed to the Board of Immigration Appeals, in which case, if you're in removal proceedings and do that, there's an automatic stay of deportation, and the answer is no, they can't deport you. They can detain you, okay? There's nothing stopping them from doing that. You can make motions to be bonded out, but they can detain you. But I need to see more facts of your case, okay? Removal proceeding, asylum pending, I-130 pending, marriage to LPR. That is a statement, not a question. So, Manuel, I need some information. Okay, what I'm assuming you're saying is that you're in removal proceedings, you've applied some information. Okay, what I'm assuming you're saying is that you're in removal proceedings, you've applied, you understand that the court doesn't have jurisdiction to go forward until USCIS approves the I-130. So, and it's to an LPR, so I need to know how long before they might become a U.S. citizen. Because if you're out of status, married to an LPR, you can't qualify to adjust. Okay? You are welcome, Samantha. Okay. Let's see. I am applying for a green card after 2 years based on indefinite asylum granted by the IJ. Okay, there is no such immigration term as indefinite asylum. You were either granted asylum or you were not. If you were granted asylum, you have 1 year. After 1 year, you can apply for the green card. You can also apply for it after 2 years if you don't do it after 1 year. It doesn't disappear, okay, if that's what you're referring to by indefinite. But why would you wait unless you didn't know? Okay, if it's been more than a year, gotta get yourself in motion here and get it done. Okay, how long would it take for me to get a green card if I came to the U.S. with a visa? Well, that depends on tons of different factors. What kind of visa? What's your education? What's your work experience? Do you have employment to sponsor you? Is it family-based? Okay, that's the purpose for consultation. You are welcome, Manuel. Okay, and this is Brianna. I answered you earlier, but I think you answered some of my questions here. My fiance's asylum case, but was appealed. Well, you don't. Oh, but was appealed by ICE. Our lawyer appealed. Now we're waiting. Okay. I mean, ICE isn't going to appeal an asylum case. Okay. I think you're referring, if it was an immigration court, it's not ICE. They don't have jurisdiction there. So I assume that he won his asylum case. Okay. The trial attorneys from the Department of Homeland Security appealed it because they disagree. And now your lawyer responded to the appeal. So based on that, again, if it's to the BIA, there's an automatic stay of deportation, but it's not fun when the government appeals. That means that the judge granted it for some reason, but the government disagrees. So it better be a real strong response to their appeal. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions. So what I'm going to do now is sign off, log off, and say sayonara. And until the next live, everybody have... Brianna, just send me a message afterwards with all the detail. I'll be able to help you. All right. Everybody have a good day.